A big wave could wipe them all out. Some chose to turn back and find another way, but most pressed on without hesitation. After all sorts of disasters, they had no choice left, and the tongue was busy pulling switch. Finally, that old engine let out a roar, as if cheering them on, while a few people moved forward. Thus, the 20-person crew drifted alone on this vast ocean. Under the scorching sun, they trudged forward, bobbing on the tumultuous waves, without sail or armor, just determination to change their fate and press to go. However, sincere prayers won no divine favor. Roaring waves swiftly filled the boat. To make matters worse, the old engine finally gave up, and the setting sun was mercilessly swallowed by their hope faded along with the sunset, and the risks of sinking at night escalated. Bailing water from the boat felt like a drop in the ocean. They decided to toss everything extra overboard to lighten the load. There were wet clothes and all sorts of medals, making User hesitate as she held her awards. These medals were small but filled with past glory, light yet heavy with her father's hard work. Ultimately, they didn't compare to the importance of life. So after Yusra decided to give these medals their ultimate worth, sinking them to the sea depths for a glimmer of life hope. As the waves pushed the boat forward, a raised phone finally caught a weak signal. She immediately called the Greek Coast Guard for help, desperately detailing their peril. She specifically noted children needing help aboard, though rescue might mean repatriation. But it was better than dying in the darkness. However, the response was colder than the sea. He simply replied that it was against policy and hung up, leaving them to struggle in despair. Just then, everyone sank into hopelessness. Sister Sarah bravely stepped up. She cut the rope tying her and jumped into the sea to lighten the boat's burden. Seeing this, her sister Yusra mirrored her act, followed by an Afghan youth who jumped into the water too. Hero's courage is silent, but time marches on. Perhaps this fearlessness moved God, and the worn engine restarted hours later. Everyone quickly pulled the drowned Afghan youth aboard, but the sisters still hesitated to board. They knew the boat had reached its weight limit, so clung close, weary but resolute. Just as Yusra was about to sink from exhaustion, her father's teaching surfaced in her mind. "Find your boat, swim for your boat," she recalled. In a daze, she envisioned a lane just for her, and memories from her training fueled her onward. She kept swimming until exhaustion took her into unconsciousness. As the wind blew away the wilted hopes outside, regrets slowly descending into reality. In dreams, memories root on the sea, urging Yusra not to sleep again. Her sister never stopped calling out to her sleeping self, and when she opened her eyes again, a new day ignited the horizon, and the shore of victory was within reach. She began to paddle fiercely, pulling the powerless boat toward the new world, proving that hard work pays off as they finally reached the longed-for shore. Yet, no joy of success, just shock from survival, a coastline of romance, holding sweet memories for many. It also buried refugees' despair, life vests piled high outside the door. The difficulties they faced along the journey had become commonplace here, as many refugees poured in. Local residents found their lives disrupted. Thus, newly arrived, they were destined to face discrimination. Even with money, food was hard to come by, but thankfully there was a charity at the port. As dusk fell, the sisters gazed at the port for a long while from atop a shipping container. In the sun, every thought formed a poem, lighting the path home, but to choose this journey of escape was to accept the path without turning back. After a quick rest, they set out north again, walking along the tracks to measure the distance between cities. They crossed wooden bridges of soil and greens, seeking warmth by the campfire, while weary souls searched for direction amidst the trash-covered tracks. When crossing the Serbian border, a smuggler warned them to be careful or risk getting caught by the police. He claimed he could take them directly into Hungary for just 500 euros, and they reluctantly handed over their money and got in the car. Soon after, the smuggler abandoned them in the wilderness helpless. They had to follow the setting sun onward. They trudged through muddy swamps and dead wood, finally arriving in Hungary by noon the next day. Here, they met another smuggler offering to take them to Budapest for 800 euros each. Though they had been conned before, they chose to trust again. Fortunately, they weren't deceived this time. The car raced along, traversing mountains all day, until they finally reached Budapest. They'll rest overnight in this abandoned car factory, then proceed to Germany with another smuggler's guidance. That evening, the news broadcasted reports about the challenges faced by refugees. Their possessions and money had been completely depleted. yet no one was willing to offer a helping hand. One morning, Yusra headed to the warehouse for a breather, but was almost assaulted by a driver. Thankfully, her sister arrived just in time. The noise drew a nearby smuggler, who angrily ejected the driver, warning refugees to be safe. All of her knees, Yusra chose to walk to Germany, just like the refugees in the news.